Evening VC. Been a few weeks. I've been perusing all of Charlotte's and all of the Charlotte area hospitals the last few weeks. I might end up seeing someone eventually that can figure everything out. But like I said before, as long as I'm breathing air, there's going to be records. And there's obviously it's been a few weeks, so there's quite a few records. Somehow I've been able to fit it in with an ambulance ride and ER doctors and spine specialists and chiropractors and gut specialists, everything and anything under the sun. Obviously, the ladies should be lining up. You're not here for all this crap. You're here for records, and I definitely have some here. The first, Sandy Bowl, E pluribus unum. This is a original promo in dead mint shape. This is an interesting album. I dig the second side more than the first side. It's just two long cuts on the Vanguard label. It is a beautiful copy. These can still be found cheap. These Sandy Bowl records. Don't pay up for them. You can find these. A lot of reverb, or I don't know. There's some oud on the second side. I dig when he plays the oud on the second side. I actually dig the cowbell at the end of the first side. But you know, he's playing electric guitar, oud. There's Indian bass on here, drums, and some Indian elements to what's going on with this. Again, it's tons of reverb and like flanger or sound or phaser sound. Experimenting with the instruments, but really good. There's still enough dynamics to keep your ear, if you know what I mean. I didn't have any Sandy Bowl, so this was one I found in promo, so I grabbed it. The Electric Blend, the B-side, is where it's at on this one for me. There's some more Sandy Bowl records. I'll see if I can find them at some point. One of the hospital visits when I got out of it was in Matthews, and it's like literally almost next door to Noble Records and South 21. So I was like, screw it. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna go get a cheeseburger and some records. So I went to South 21, got a cheeseburger, went into Noble, and Dylan wasn't there. But I did find some things. Very happy to find this. He had a stack of 7 inches, and it all looked like rubbish except for this one, Pond. And this is the Wheel on the A side and Cinders song on the B side. Early Pond band from Portland, on Sub Pop. They were early on in the whole, I don't want to say grunge scene, but they were kind of pre that, just by a hair, and just as good as any of the other bands of the Seattle Portland scene back then in the early to mid 90s. Really dig this band, especially the B side on this, Cinders. Really fucking good song. And I had never found any Pond 7 inches before on white vinyl from Sub Pop. This is from 92. So an original copy too. So I never see Pond stuff ever. I've got all the CDs, but again, I never see vinyl, so this was a really cool find. And then I picked this up. I've seen this record a bunch of times. I've always passed it by. I think it was from the big anniversary sale, one of the leftovers, and so I grabbed it because it was cheap. Motorhead, No Sleep Till Hammersmith, and this is a UK copy, I believe, if I recall correctly, from 1981. Bronze Records. There's different label variations of this. This is fucking epic all the way through. Live in England, Ace of Spades, of course, Iron Horse, all of this. It's all of it sounds killer rock grooves. Lemmy is a beast. Yeah, this is one of the most enjoyable listens of the year for me. It absolutely fit the bill. I needed a pick me up, and this definitely did it. Wow. I don't know what the hell I was waiting on picking this up, but that's an absolute killer record. So that's all I got at Noble. I ended up having to get home and take medicines. At some point during the last few weeks, I've started walking every evening, and it's this big loop in the neighborhood, well, in one of the neighborhoods across the way, and where I used to live. And in the middle of the route is Repo Records, because there's a big freaking hill that when you get out of Repo you can go up or down it. And so I just, whichever way I go, so you get the hill in. But I always kind of pop into there to see if anything's come in, because every now and again a nice collection will come in there. And they had been putting out a big collection, a lot of 50s stuff. A lot of Martin Denny. If you like Martin Denny, well, yeah, I mean, oh God. Our friend in Wales would love the stack of Martin Denny that came in there, because it's all originals, all with the really cool covers, the real early stuff. My friend Joe's into Martin Denny, so he might be swinging in there to grab some of it. No one else is really gonna mess with that stuff, but there were some jazz too, and then also a large dump of James Brown and a large dump of country, interestingly enough. But I actually had one record in mind when I went in there, because I'd been listening to the Stooges, and that was this one, a film by Jim Jarmusch, Gimme Danger, The Story of the Stooges. This was a Record Store Day release, I believe. Jimmy still had 2 copies left, and it was under $20, so I picked it up, and it's got a lot of great tracks on it. Gimme Danger, I Want to Be Your Dog, Down on the Street, yeah, 1969, really good. Rhino, I think, had something to do with putting this out. And Jim Jarmusch, Fishing with John, the greatest thing ever put on film. John Leary, and it's on clear with a nice sleeve. If you ever need leftover Record Store Day stuff, you'd be surprised the quality of it that is still in Repo. I mean, I think they still have a copy of the Charlie Parker box set in there. I mean, who's gonna have that? That sold out everywhere. So they even got a copy of that in there. So I grabbed that. Sticking with Iggy, they had this also from Record Store Day still in there, and that's the Villagers 7-inch. Really good repetitive track, good groove on it. Pain and Suffering being on the B side, also really good. A different unreleased version. And this is on colored, numbered colored vinyl. So I grabbed that, and it's a nice little 7-inch. And I also found in the 7 inches in a Beatles 7-inch, and the reason I picked this up is because of the B side. So it's Got to Get You Into My Life on the A, and Helter Skelter on the B, on the Capitol label. So a US cut. I got it because John Digital Gramophone told me Helter Skelter was the heaviest Beatles track, or one of the heavy Beatles tracks. So there, and I only have Revolver, so there's that. And that was, well, I think that ended up being free. But there's two really cool finds as well in the used. Again, I mentioned they had a James Brown collection come in. We've got Mr. James Brown, Getting Down to It. This is an original on King, on the King label. Let's see if I can... It's a weird, here's your King label. It's a weird gatefold jacket that kind of, it does one of these things where you can see him like this, and it's a, I don't know, what do you call it, where you put the record in there, which is annoying. But that's how they did this one. But it is an original copy, and it's in nice shape, and it's James Brown. And if I see, you know, some cool James Brown records, as you'll see later in this video, I'm gonna pick them up because they're usually not too expensive. So yeah, James Brown, Getting Down to It. There's some good cuts on that one. But the find of the day, I couldn't believe this was there. Also a great price. They always have their used price to go. Bud Powell, Jazz Original, and this is a first U.S. mono pressing on the Norgran Records label. I believe from 1955. Could be wrong on the year. Very rare to find, you know, original Norgran records, and there's two mono pressings, and this one is the first mono, as it has Jazz at the Philharmonic in the label. You got Bud Powell on piano, Percy Heath bass, and Max Roach on drums. This is one of the best finds I've had in a while. Just, you know, just digging, not, you know, just coming up on a record. That's what I like about Repo. I never know what's in there because they don't do the social media like the other shops do. Like when I go to Noble for the drops, I already kind of know what I'm there to get. When I go to Lunchbox, sometimes it's because they've put a video up of what's on the wall and they got a crazy collection in. So I'll kind of have pre-knowledge, or with Lunchbox, I know I'm there for a certain new release. But every now and again, I can pop in and find things. And that's the beauty about Charlotte. We do have quality record stores here where you can just find something like this, which is fucking incredible. One of my better finds of the year. And I found some killer stuff this year. And so speaking of Lunchbox, I had not planned to go in there at all. And I had gotten back to work, and I'm leaving work, and there's a turn lane on the plaza that I have to get in, and they cut everything down to one lane. Well, that was backed up really bad for some reason, so that told me there's an accident. And when there's an accident on that stretch, there's no two lanes anymore. They made one lane a completely bike lane. You're not moving until it's cleared, period. It could take hours. So if you go past that turn and take the next left, and then you make a right, and then there's Lunchbox. So I was like, well, if I'm going by Lunchbox, I'm not gonna just blow by it. So I stopped in there and with nothing in mind, and I left with a stack of records. What are the chances of that? But first, I found this was sealed, a 12-inch by the group Uniform out of New York City, industrial heavy noise, really heavy guitar, heavy drums, vocalist is crazy. Yeah, Ghost House 12-inch. I saw them open for Boris, really fucking good band. This is a cool record, real thick piece of vinyl. You can't really tell, but it's got, I think it's got like this weird etching thing on one side. But yeah, that's a cool one. Didn't expect to see that in the, it was in the punk section, I think, is where I found it. And it was, you know, under 10 bucks because it's just a single, really 12-inch single. But early Uniform, and I didn't have anything this early, so we grab that. Back to James Brown. Huge stack of James Brown originals in the Soul section. So somebody went to the shops and dumped, well, at least a Repo and Lunchbox, and dumped off a huge James Brown collection because both got a lot of it. And so I grabbed 2 more James Browns. It's a Man's World, I think is the name of it. This one's on King. This one has a killer cover, and this one's in fucking great shape. This has got the scratch on it, and not a scratch in the vinyl. Like the name of the song is The Scratch. Heavy duty piece of wax on King on the black label. This is an OG mono. In fantastic shape. There were a bunch of James Brown records. I picked out 2, but I could go back for more. I told John about them. He needs to go in there and grab some because they're priced to move. And the other one I grabbed because it's an instrumental one is Grits and Soul, the instrumental sounds of the James Brown Band on Smash Records. And this is an original copy, I think from '64. And I think this one, other one was from like '66 maybe, or '67, somewhere around there. But yeah, more James Brown on the organ. I got another one of his organ records the other day. Dig it. Good saxophone on here. Fantastic stuff. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? That cut is on here. Really good. Found this in the blues section, and I spun this the other night, and it is fantastic. And a hell of a lineup on this. I was actually texting with Sherv and Jim about this. That's My Story. John Lee Hooker sings the blues, and this is a OJ, well, not an OJC, but original blues classics. Same in line with, you know, OJC's. Still in the shrink. Originally on Riverside, so it does have the white Riverside label. This thing's freaking minty. Sounds incredible. This was recorded in a studio. The last track is incredible. That's My Story, the title track. Just the way he's picking on that and everything. Kind of an off timing. Really, yeah. Democrat Man is a very, very good cut and very fitting for next week. Yeah. John Lee Hooker sings the blues. That's My Story. That's a great fucking record. I think it's a 90s original blues classics. Found this in the New Arrivals. This is a record I wrote off for a while. My friend Joe dug some of the songs on it, and he was like, yeah, no, there's good stuff on there, and I was like, I don't know. But I've gone back to it because I've been listening to some Mars Volta recently, and this is the return of At the Drive-In when they did this album, Inter Alia. And the reason I picked up this particular copy, because it came out in 2017, is it's the first press with the beer color or whatever vinyl, or whatever this is. It splatter with, I don't know what it's called, beer something or other. Don't look like it, but it's the one. And it comes in an interesting sleeve with words. Heavy duty piece of wax. There's that. But it's a cool record. There's some good cuts on here. Cedric's doing his thing on vocals. Omar Rodriguez Lopez on guitar. So it's not terrible. It's not my favorite stuff by them. So I grabbed it. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube from that album. Actually, the videos are really good. This is the last thing I picked up at Lunchboxes. Was in the New Arrivals. I took a punt on this one. I spun it. I could have left it behind, really. Galt McDermott, More from the Basement, Unreleased Tracks, Volume 2. And the hype sticker got me on this one, I'll be honest. More unreleased funk instrumentals from the 60s and 70s featuring Idris Muhammad and Bernard Purdie on drums. I mean, that's going to sell a record. And it isn't lying. I mean, these are really short cuts. A lot of them are used in movies, or one of them is even in like a radio ad spot. It's like 1 minute long exactly. There's a dude on guitar on most of these cuts. Charlie Brown slays it. The drummers, yeah, both drummers kill it. Bernard Purdie and Idris Muhammad throw down. The thing for me is Galt McDermott kind of blows ass. Canadian arranger, orchestrator, played, piano, keyboards, organ, things like that. He kind of fucking sucks. That's just my opinion. It's kind of amateur hour to me. But, I'm also, I don't know. I've heard a lot of organ music, and this, I don't know, this guy. That one might end up in the purge pile, but there are some jams on here. I mean, yeah, Water Fight on the B side is a jam. Whirly on the A side is a jam. I mean, there's some funky jams. I mean, like I said, the drummers kill it on this, but god damn, Galt McDermott is a toilet. Just my opinion. The DJs will like Peanut Butter Wolf will tell me he's a genius. Whatever. Package from Permanent Records, and they screwed up. First time though. I ordered a UK original 7-inch of the White Stripes, Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground from 2002. They sent me a 2012 US copy. They sent my copy to someone else, so I'm having to put this in the mail to the other person, and that person is having to put the one that I bought in the mail to me. We'll see how that goes. But great fucking cut, Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground. Stop Breaking Down, BBC Studios song is on the B-side. Real rockin' tune. Best song White Stripes ever did, as far as I'm concerned. Best song Jack White's ever done, as far as I'm concerned. Right there. Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground. But I should have an original coming, and not that 2012 reissue. And this record, which I was stoked to find, and it was super cheap. Far East Family Band, Niponjan on the Vertigo Swirl. But it's, well, that's not a swirl. label, but it is the, I believe it's the spaceship. Yeah, it's the spaceship with the small swirl in there. This is fantastic Japanese psych leaning on prog. Read about this in that book that Jim turned me on to. And this is the second record I found from them. Oddly enough. Yeah, Joining Our Mental Phase Sound. Fantastic record. This is in great shape too. The Nippon, the title track is freaking almost 17 minutes long to open. Absolutely phenomenal. A lot of shorter songs on the B side. That's from what year? 1975. That's a great one. Bill, the vinyl verse, would love this shit. Yeah, that was a cool record. And then, yeah, another walk, another stop into Repo. This time I had a few things I saw the first time I went in there in mind for a few reasons. But I ended up finding two records I didn't expect to pick up. One being this, Pink Floyd More, the soundtrack. This is a early Tower press. And this is a freaking cool record. It's not in the best of shape, so it was cheap. But it sounds pretty good. There's your cool Tower label. Original year, not a first press, but maybe like a second or third, something like that. There's a lot of pressings of this record, but U.S. copy, I believe. Stereo copy. Did not have this record. Most of it written by Roger Waters, at least on the A side. Everybody else kind of pitches in on the B side. This jammer of a record, Tower of Power Urban Renewal. And I don't think I've seen this reissued in a while. And this is an OG copy, so I grabbed it. I had only one other Tower of Power record. This still has the original inner. It's on the Warner Brothers label. A lot of good horns in this group. A lot of good horns. Festive Oakland Bay Area band. And yeah, I never see this record, so I grabbed it. Wasn't, again, none of these were expensive. Now the reason I went in there this time though was to get a few of these records, because he had gotten that large country collection in, and thanks to John 6-inch Pianist and his videos where they're, you know, at the pub with Hedley. I started watching Hedley's videos. I've known about Hedley for a long time, but you know, I've been listening to so much other stuff. I hadn't had really time to get into country music, but he plays some cool stuff that he finds on his videos. And I've been to a Willie Nelson concert this summer with Billy Strings, because a buddy of mine's a huge Billy Strings fan, and it was great. And I grew up, the first music I ever had was Waylon Jennings on 8-track. Growing up on a farm in upstate New York, country music was a big deal around where I was from. Of course, I got into rock and roll right away and ditched the country music as soon as I could. But some of this is kind of nostalgia. Some of it's recommended. But I grabbed a couple country records. Willie Nelson, Phases and Stages. This is an OG on Atlantic. It was $10 in mint shape, so I grabbed this one. I didn't have any Willie Nelson in the collection. My friend Joe said this was the one to get, and it just happened to be the first one in the stack. They had like 30 Willie Nelson records. Big collection. And they had a bunch of Waylon Jennings. And I had gotten one Waylon Jennings record in the anniversary drop from Noble. So I grabbed this one because I dug the names of the songs. Dreaming My Dreams, 1975 RCA. Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way? I Recall a Gypsy Woman. Yeah, some cool names for songs, so this one looked like it'd be a good one to grab. I haven't spun this one yet, but it's on the RCA Victor label, mint. These are all mint copies. Nice stuff, so grab that. Not what you normally see on this channel for sure. It's not free jazz. And the Outlaws. This is one that I think, oh God, who showed this? I think it showed up in maybe a couple times in Maslov's Whack-A-Moles or whatever. I think the Outlaws, Waylon Willie, Jesse Coulter, and Temple Glazer. And this, it was listed as an OG, but it's actually a reissue. But an early reissue. But yeah, Honky Tonk Heroes is on this from Waylon. So there's that one. The Archivist, I think, showed that one. I could be wrong. And then this badass record came all the way from Uruguay. Thanks to Jason, Hackman 377 out in Los Angeles. He's been showing some of the most killer records from South America you're ever going to see. We're grateful that people like him are in the vinyl community because they turn us on to things we would have never known about. That's the whole point of why we do this. At least for me, I'm subscribed. Most of the channels I'm subscribed to is because I'm going to find out about something that I've never heard of that I'm going to dig. And it's going to get added to the want list, or I'm going to, keep it up here in the noggin and try to find it while I'm out digging. But he showed this record, played a sample, epic guitars, drums, bass. The band is absolutely killer. The vocalist ain't my favorite, but goddamn is the band just slays it. Some of the guitar work sounds like Omar Rodriguez Lopez, who I was talking about earlier from At the Drive-In and the Mars Volta. And that's Totem, and this is on the Discarga. I think imprint or something. Disco Escultura. This is not a first press from 72. I think it's 76 pressing on the Clave label, white label, but it is a Uruguayan press, and it is VG++ on the record. Covers maybe VG. But the seller was the same seller that he's dealt with, and so this got picked up. Absolutely killer LP. Yeah, a lot of stuff there. Hope you're doing better than me. Peace.